this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we work out what to do. If your MSP isn't growing, it's time to look in the mirror. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Today we've flown all the communication cables, satellite, whatever you want to call it, all the way across to the US of A as we have a chat with Brian Hoppe, who is an ex-MSP business owner and he now coaches MSPs. And we've had an amazing chat and we think we're going to deliver a little bit of value today around a little bit about getting out your own way. But when your MSP isn't growing, we reckon it's time to look in the mirror. Good afternoon, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much. Super excited to have a great conversation.
No problem at all. We've done this a couple of 3 times. We start talking and then we say, just press the record button. We'll get on with it. But
let's do it. Yeah.
Anyway, you know, we've got some great experience in the room today with yourself and kind of what you did and where you came from and now what you're doing with the MS over in the States. But let's just start off. Brian, who are you? What do you do? Who'd you help? Why have you got you on the podcast today?
Oh, well, great question. Thanks for asking. Yeah. So like you said, yes, I'm an ex-MSP owner. I sold my business just a couple of years ago to private equity, worked with that team for a little while, and then, kind of struck off on my own just about a year ago. And what I do is I work mostly one-on-one with MSP CEOs, just helping them, like you said earlier, kind of take a good look in the mirror, get out of their own way in a lot of cases, and really help them grow their business.
Yeah, we talk a lot about scaling your MSP with confidence. Why is it, in your opinion, that a lot of MSP techie business owners lack confidence to grow their business? Is it that they don't know where to start? Is it that there's a fear of failure? What's kind of bubbles up in your world? What do you see that gets in their way the most?
Yeah. What first came to mind when you said that was imposter syndrome.
Okay.
I think that's a big issue among MSP owners because, like you said, they come in usually as technologists and and aren't really sure what to do, how to grow a business, and they find themselves suddenly $1 million or 2 million, and it's like, wait, what am I doing with this business here? What's going on? And so, so that's what popped into my head there is a little bit of imposter syndrome, I think, is a challenge. And then just kind of the lack of experience on, okay, what does it really take to scale a company? Because they've never done it before. And that's totally okay. And, so many people go on to build amazing businesses that had no idea what they were doing at the beginning, including myself. And so it's an opportunity to learn exactly what to do and how to do it. And we can dive into that. But I found in my journey that outside help was one of the biggest things that really helped me to kind of unlock scale and go from, man, I have no idea what I'm doing to, okay, I'm crystal clear on what it takes to scale a company.
Isn't this funny? And I'm going to try and make sure I get the international terminology correct. But you kind of like don't have much of a choice, right? You got to go to school and college, right? That's just life, right? But you want to play baseball, basketball, football, rugby, soccer, whatever you want to call it. What do you do? You go and join a club. You get a coach. You want to drive a car. What do you do? I don't know how to do it. I'll go and find someone to teach me how to drive a car. I want to be a windsurfer or a particular sportsman. What do? You go and try and find a coach. You want to run a business? I'll do it all on my own because I think I can do a great job and I don't want to ask for help. What's that all about?
Hold on. Wait a minute. Why is this a thing? Yeah. And that is, it's so true. And what you find when you look at the most high performing people in the world, like you mentioned sports, but also in business, they get to a point and it's like, oh, wait, I need a coach. And so you look at Fortune 500 companies and a lot of other businesses in the world. And even now like private equity, VCs, they're all saying, hey, if you're a CEO in our portfolio, you need to have a coach. And so that's one of the requirements. And so, a very good point you bring up there.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because, as I was developing through my corporate history as well, it's like, future leaders, senior leaders, what does this need to look like? And while it's, yes, the business wants to develop people so the business can go faster, right? But they also know that if they don't develop the people, then the business is never going to go faster. So there's kind of a bit of a there's a bit of a self-interest very much from the business on this. We get that. But when you look at building confidence, we've just had a team meeting with our team. We've got an amazing team of 5 over in the Philippines, and one of them who's high S&C on the disc scale, so very steady, very compliant, scared about, delegating and stuff. And she's just absolutely delegated like a boss in the last 2 weeks. But her confidence now is like, oh my God, I can do this. I can, and it's going to help the whole thing go faster, and it's going to help the whole thing move faster. And it's funny, isn't it, that business development isn't really about business development, is it? It's about personal development. Because if you don't grow as a person, the business is never going to grow, isn't it? So it's kind of people come towards us and yourself saying, I need to grow my business. And we sort of go, no, you don't. You just need to grow yourself.
Right. Yes. And such an important question. Of what came to mind when you mentioned that is just the less of the question of what do I need to do, and a lot of the question is who do I need to be in order to
Yeah,
build the business that I want to build. And
yeah.
that question in and of itself can be a huge game changer if you really take the time to think about that. What skills don't I have? What am I really uncomfortable with that I need to get comfortable with, or that I just need to practice, actually, because practice is what makes you comfortable and what gives you that confidence you were just talking about. Those are the deep questions that I think a lot of people don't a lot of MSP owners don't spend a lot of time asking themselves.
What would that look like then? If we start off and we sort of like say to our clients, what does success look like? What does winning look like for you in your business? And they might say 7 figures, so much profit, so much, time off with the family, profitability, all of those kind of good things. But when you're working one to one with someone, how do you start that conversation on, personally, where are you today as a CEO? And how do we identify what a winning CEO looks like? And kind of how do we close that gap? What does that look like in the conversations that you have?
Yeah, it can take a lot of different forms, right? Part of it is obviously, me getting to know the person, and who are you and how do you lead, and what does your team think about your leadership, and all of that. And there's definitely some really good frameworks around, hey, here's how I build clarity with my team. Here's how I build the culture that I want to build. And then even backing it up to what you were saying, like the first piece is really understanding where you want to go and why, right? Because there's this thing out there, and everybody's like, I want to be 10 million, right? That's like, for whatever reason, that's the number that everybody picks up. Well, why? What does that mean to you? And do you really even need to get there in order to achieve your goals? So maybe it's a different place that we need to be aiming for. So that's like getting really super clear on all of that stuff. And I start with, hey, what do you want your personal wealth to look like? We model that out, and then you can do that with the business. And then it's a matter of saying, okay, so let's think like if your goal is 10 million, let's say, let's start thinking like a $10 million CEO. What would that person be doing with their time? Would they be running around, firefighting, and and trying to be the center of everything, or would they be building a team around them that's really effective and accountable, and a team of leaders, and then a team of leaders under those leaders, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's very complicated thinking of it like, in a whole. But when you get down to what do you need as a leader, who do you need to be as a leader, then we can really come up with some concrete steps to build in those things.
And that can be as simple as, I want to be a great leader of a great big business. But in actual fact, step one is, how do I build that team that's going to support me? Because at the minute, I'm in the middle of everything. And if you want to, you multiply a £1 million MSP and you take it up to 10, is it going to be 10 times hard work? Are you going to get 10 times the profit? Do you know what? I know many 7-figure MSP business owners who wish they were running £500,000 MSPs with a much more profitability. But we spoke about that you create your own success, right? And then you said, don't be surprised based on your actions. What do you mean by that? Because the actions drive results, and it depends what you spend your time doing. And what was your kind of thinking behind when we were talking about that earlier on?
Yeah, to me, it's true that you create your own success. And one of the things that I say, there's a lot of bitter pills to swallow, right, for MSP owners. And one of them is what you're experiencing right now in your business. If it's stagnant, if it's high profitability, if it's low profitability, if you're running around crazy, what you're experiencing right now, your business is perfectly optimized to deliver to you, right? So
Are you
you're
saying are you saying what you're getting right now is completely your fault?
Well,
whether it's good or bad.
I didn't use those words exactly, but but where you are is, it's exactly where, the product of what you've set up at this point. And it's the same thing with your physical health, with your weight, with your relationships, anything in life, and it applies equally to your business. And so, yeah, people ask me, so what's the biggest factor in growing my business? And I just say, you got to take a look in the mirror, because that's where it is. Right. And as the leader goes, so goes the business. It's just the way that things are. And so yeah, I mean, what you're doing right now, if you want things to be different, you got to do something different.
Yeah. I took a lot of inspiration back in the day from, kind of like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and some of the greats there. And I never forget, and I mention this and I don't apologize for repeating it, but Zig Ziglar, I think he said one of his tapes, God, how bloody old am I?
Tape,
On
huh?
his audio, yeah, it's like one of the 8 tracks I was listening back in the car. One of the things he was talking about, he said, look, I knew I was 165 pounds or whatever it was. He was well overweight. He says, yeah, because I never, ever accidentally ate anything. And it was like, wow, that is just so funny. But it was like, he says, I knew I was overweight. I knew I was unfit because I knew exactly what I was eating. And it was like, what a great kind of like self awareness. So, it looks in the mirror. If you're running around chaotic, your business will be running around chaotic. If you're nice and measured and structured, guess what? Your business is going to be nice and measured and structured. It's what we call a lot of the time shadow of the leader. As you walk into that room, what does that room look like? It follows you around and all those sort of things. Let's talk about some of the key things that helped you when you were growing your MSP. And the first thing that you did was you installed a business operating system. What,
Yes.
what is that? What does it look like? Because I remember reading Traction about 5 years ago, right? And I was really, really pissed when I read this because I thought, I've been doing that for 20 years. Why didn't I write this damn book? I've been doing it in corporate. People have been teaching me all this stuff, consistency, connection, and all of this kind of great stuff. And the great thing with Traction is it was brilliantly marketed, so it's a great thing. They've turned it into a thing. But what does business operating system mean to you? How did you know that you needed one? And then what was it? How did it kind of show up and thread itself through your business?
Yeah. So when I think about that, I think about I was also it's changed a little bit. You mentioned the disc earlier. I was also very high S at the time, but what I knew was that I loved structure. I had like GTD for my personal stuff, right? To like a system, right? I wanted a system to be able to manage things. And some structure around it. And a lot of times as leaders, we push that away because it's like another thing or that kind of a thing. But what I found with it was a lot of freedom, right? Because I had a system that told me what to do and when, and how to run my meetings, how to build culture, how to build accountability, and a set of tools that allowed me to really, to become clear about how to actually run the business. Because, when I think it's from Good to Great, but it's like, the leader with 1,000 followers, right? It's you and confusion invites conflict. And so what you need is some kind of baseline of structure of how the business is run. And so that to me is, I mean, that's what brought that to me, or that's what putting a business operating system in place brought to me was, oh, I have clarity on how to run the business in the, what to do for annual planning, what to do for quarterly planning, how to run meetings on a regular basis, how to really clarify my marketing message and my guarantee to my clients, and all of those different things that are super important, but we just kind of we just let them pass us by normally.
How did you, because you've got all these different elements, right? You've got sales and marketing vision, knowing your numbers, knowing your clients, knowing your prospects, building your team, account management, all of those kind of great things. How did you prioritize those, or what did you prioritize first? Because there's lots of stuff that comes at MSP business owners when as soon as they turn the screens on. And a lot of the time, I've just was on a call with a client earlier on this afternoon, and I said to myself, right, we need to take your 16-week plan down to 8 to 2 things, because he was just getting overwhelmed. He was trying to do little bits of things, and then you do a bit of one, and then he was getting distracted, and he was going and doing another thing, and he was doing another thing, and then the phone would ring, and I said, you've got too much stuff in your head. Let's take it down. If we've got to do 4 2-week plans, let's do 42-week plans. And it was kind of like trying to, so that was a tactic that we used for him. But how did you identify what you needed to focus on first with your business development system?
That's part of the process, right? I mean, so you get in there, you do the work with your leadership team of saying, okay, where do we need to focus? We've got annual goals, right? So here's where we want to be at the end of the year. And then to the exclusion of everything else, you say, okay, what steps do we need to take this quarter to get us to this goal at the end of the year? And those become the most important things. And every member of the leadership team has 2 to 4 things that they're doing, that the things that they're going to accomplish in that quarter in order to move us that much closer to our annual goals. So yeah, a lot of stuff just sits for a while because it's like, no, we've already decided these are the most important things, and that's to the exclusion of everything else. Obviously, you have to keep the lights on, keep the client served, and all of those kind of things. But getting to those things that are the most important and call them rocks, right? Yeah, that's what we're working on to the exclusion of everything else.
But that's hard, right? Isn't it? Because you got everything coming at you. And then you've got to say, hang on a minute, but some of the tactics that we've used in the past is, yeah, it's okay to, and we kind of say, are you listening to this or are you hearing it? And it's like, I say to the guys, I said, hear everything that goes on in this room, but I only want you to listen to the things that go onto your 16-week plan. So when you need to come back to sales and marketing, account management, which is quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, whenever it might be, we go back into that memory and we go and turn out who's nailing that or who's doing that or how do we do that. But listen to the things that's in your plan right now and hear all the other stuff and kind of float it away. Because I always kind of go on the basis of when I get up in the morning, what do I need to do first to make sure that the team are effective? Because if I'm a bottleneck and I'm getting all caught up in my own self-importance of what I think is my day looks like, then the team could be sitting around going, I'm just waiting for Ian to do this, or that hasn't happened, or this hasn't happened. And all of a sudden you're then going, well, I've got 5 resources sitting there twiddling their thumbs while I'm like procrastinating. And how much of a waste, because it's not right in front of your face, you kind of can't see it, but it's how do you procrastinate? So you then did a couple of things, didn't you? You hired a coach and then you joined a peer group. Now in the States, I know MSP peer groups, there's probably about 4.5 billion of them, isn't there? There's a lot more peer groups in America than there is in the UK. Which one did you do first? So you got your plan, you kind of like knew which way you were going to do. What was the thing? Did you hire the coach first and then you got into the group, or did you get the group first and then you got to the coach? What was the process?
The group first. The group was actually before the business operating system, and maybe around the same time. But yeah, the peer group was a huge difference maker for me, just getting around other people doing the same stuff. I mean, and some people that are a little bit ahead of where you're at, right? When we joined, it was just kind of like, man, what's going on? What do we need to do to grow this thing? Not really sure, but we can get around other people who have at least seen some of what we're doing, who know how to overcome some of the challenges we're dealing with right now, and just an absolutely huge difference maker. And getting around other people that are kind of at the same stage of growth and really dealing with a lot of the same things. The knowledge that comes from that, especially like for for leaders, it could definitely be lonely. So having other people that are kind of brothers in arms or whatnot, that really know what you're going through. Just so valuable. I can't overstate that enough. So yeah, I think everyone should be in a peer group, whichever flavor that may be. But getting with people who are going to hold you accountable, who are going to take a deep dive into everything, your numbers, your personal life, all of that stuff, and really hold you accountable to your growth and the growth of your business.
What was it that made you think I need to join one of these peer groups?
I think for me, one, I just knew that I needed some help. I mean, there are definitely a lot of business owners out there that are like, nah, I've got this. I can handle it. But I think what you find is that any successful business person has experts around them. They have people that are good at the stuff that they're not good at surrounding them. So whether that be accountant, your attorney, any of those people, right? So those are obvious ones, but they don't think, oh, there's other people who have done this same thing that I could really learn from. And so there's a dose of humility in there of saying, yeah, I don't know everything, and who can I partner with to help me grow?
And it's standing on the shoulders of the giants, isn't it? The people who've done, and you'll find that I mean, I can't believe we're so grateful to be working in this community, because if this had been in the utilities or the construction industry that I was in back in the day, we'd just be killing each other. There wouldn't be many peer groups, but there'd be lots of like funeral directors around, because it's just kind of like, it's not that you haven't got those values, you haven't got that kind of helping, that willingness to kind of like learn and things like that. So then what happens? You then got a coach on top of the peer group.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was just like another step, and it was actually part of kind of the peer group community. Was that they had that as an option. Other people who, or yeah, I mean, people who had gone before and said, like, I've grown a large MSP, and I want to help others on a kind of one-to-one basis. And so that experience for me was not just business changing, leadership changing, but life changing. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a coach one day. So that was some odd 10 some odd years ago that I got my first coach, and an executive coach, as opposed to like a sales coach or an ops coach or that kind of a thing, like somebody who's working one on one with you on what do you need right now, where are you in your journey, where are the spaces that you want to experience growth, what are the tough decisions that you're dealing with, and how can I help you and ask you the right questions to get you to think better and all of that. It was just such a transformative experience for me. I have a coach to this day. After I sold my business, I kept working with her because I'm like, hey, like you said earlier, every high performer in the world has a coach. I have blind spots. I need to keep working with this person to keep growing myself.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. If there's anyone listening to this podcast, I reckon there might be, who are thinking, yeah, do you know what? I need to probably have a look at a peer group or look at getting a bit of support or something like that. What was the kind of summary outcomes of after you joined these communities and you got this coach that you then enjoyed?
Yeah, so I feel like, I mean, this was probably a 2 to 3 year period, somewhere around 2010 to 2012. And and so go from before that, it was kind of like, man, I'm really not sure what steps to take. I'm confused about like what the right way to run this business is and how to, it was at that point, it was just like, I just need more sales, just need more sales, right? And that's the mindset of many MSP owners. Like, if I just had more sales, everything would be great, which is definitely not the case, because if you have a bad infrastructure and you add more to it, it's worse, right? It gets worse, not better. So learning how to fix our profit model and really make sure that as we added, we were adding good revenue, not bad revenue. Growing the team, I mean, the culture piece that we put into place, just a huge monumental thing for the growth of the business. But really going from what should I do to, okay, I know what I need to do in order to grow and scale this thing. And I'm really clear on the next actions. I'm really clear on how the business should run and what it takes to grow in a very, very healthy way so that we actually can scale towards our goals.
And it kind of answers that question, doesn't it? Many people go, look, I want to grow and scale my MSP, but I just don't know where to start. What is it I need to do next? And then they get involved in it, and then all of a sudden they get, sidetracked, which is where that accountability from that coach and from that peer group, all of those other kind of things, which is absolutely brilliant. One thing, if you guys are enjoying this episode, then I think you need to go back and have a listen to episode 151, which is all about how to run your own race. So, yes, we're talking about, what specific actions that Brian took today to grow and scale his MSP and kind of what he was doing, but also it's about yourself and what does winning look like for you, and then what's kind of in that gap when you're winning, and that personal, what does it mean for you and your friends and your family and you personally, because that's what it's all about. It is business growth, yet, but it is personal growth as well. Brian, thank you ever so much for your time this afternoon. As usual, golden nuggets flying all over the place. And with an episode like this, I think it's really important to, if some of the things have triggered you or made you think a little bit, just get a notepad, go out for a walk with the dog, listen to it again, take the bits that mean something to you right now. But ex-MSP business owner, did a great job building a business, did a load of learning, personal development in the meantime. What's your key takeaways from this show, Brian? What are the things that you're going to advise everybody to do from today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think talking through all this stuff, three big things being: get yourself in a peer group, get yourself a business operating system, and find yourself a coach, somebody who can really help with your growth. Those are my big three things that I recommend to everybody. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And complete shameless plug. Brian, if people have been listening to you, like the sound of your voice, maybe anywhere in the world, because it doesn't matter. We've got this whole wide world web thing going on right now. People want to
Absolutely.
have a conversation with you further forwards. How do people get in contact with you, Brian? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really active on LinkedIn. So it's just linkedin.com/in/Brian Hoppe. Check out my website brianhoppe.com, and then I also have a free guide as far as like, hey, here's kind of the big steps towards scaling your MSP. And that's at discovery.brianhoppe.com. So those are three good ways. Love to have a conversation with anybody that's just looking to have a good conversation about how to grow your business.
Brilliant. If you ping those links over to me, we'll pop them in the show notes so people don't have to go too far to find them. Brian, thanks again for your time today. It's been an absolute blast. And as we just said, it just flew by super, super quick. So that's it from us today. Wishing you all the very best of luck and success, Brian, in your new venture and what you're to right now. Thanks for the nuggets. Really helpful. And I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ian.
See you soon. Hang on a minute. Just before you go, and if you're curious about how this episode links with the ability to scale your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, accelerate to 5, then we want to invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you're going to get a 360-degree scan of your business where you can identify the 1 or 2 tactics that can help you find more time, engage and align your people, and help generate more leads in your MSP. It's really simple. Just click on the link in the show notes. And if you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love to get some feedback from you by means of a rating and review on Spotify or iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate every single one of them. Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up and connecting with you soon. All the best now.